Hey, New Life, I'm John.
And I'm John. I don't know about you, but my hygiene and personal maintenance routine, it's all out of whack. Like, do I even wear deodorant anymore?
Yeah, true confession, John. That was more than I needed to know. But I'll tell you what, here's what I've been struggling with. I saw you walking across the parking lot on the way in here today, your blonde locks blowing in the wind, and I thought now is the time to get ahead on this whole COVID haircut issue. I have not been able to get in to get a haircut, so I thought I'd take advantage of the time and try something new. So I'm going back to my 80s rocker look. You're supposed to look shaggy and completely unkempt anyway. So here's how you can participate. If you think this is a good look for me and you really like it, give me a thumbs up in the comments. And if you love it, give me a thumbs up in the comments.
Now remember, we don't use this one, so if you hate it, go ahead and give 2 thumbs up.
Either way, I'm covered and confident.
Oh, yeah.
Got a lot of guys tuning in from all over the world today for our New Life service. I want to give a shout out to a great family in Indiana. The Browns are online with us. I want to say hi to Landon and hi to Sawyer. I love you guys. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Janet Granis, I miss seeing you in the courtyard every week. Linda McMeekin, it was your birthday.
Happy birthday.
Now, we've been widely impressed by your ability to really get on board with the glossary of emojis.
You guys are doing great.
But family talk, we've noticed some struggling in the hashtag department.
On the struggle bus for sure.
Primarily in your spelling. So, one of the ones, what we're going for is we are New Life.
Yep.
And what we're seeing, though, is we are New Wife.
Seriously? If you are, congratulations. Otherwise, figure it out.
Yeah, figure that out. The next one we've been seeing is we are New Lice. And if that's you, if that's like this guy, you should probably get that checked out.
Hey, too soon, not kind.
You know what else is too soon? We ate New Life. Okay, I don't want to be eaten, so please don't come near me.
I get the obsession if you're out of coronavirus snacks. We get it. Quarantine is tough.
And finally, we are Ned Life. Ned, if you're out there, I just want to say congratulations. You're trending on social media.
Way to go, buddy. Now, you might be thinking, I've got this figured out. Every time I want to throw out a hashtag, I'm just going to put it into spell check.
It's a good idea.
Spell check will let you down.
Yeah.
Just to prove it to you, we typed hashtag we are new life into spell check, and the first one spit back hashtag Warren like.
Yeah.
This may be what your living room looks like if you're living with kids in shelter in place, but this is probably not how we want you to represent your church.
Nope.
Second response, hashtag werewolf. And while this is trending among people that are still up at 2 o'clock in the morning, again, not how we want to represent our New Life family.
And go to bed.
Go to bed. So when you're ready to hashtag something, go slow, check your spelling, hashtag we are New Life. And as a church family, we've got stuff today for your kids. As mom and dad are listening to Pastor Jim, I want to encourage you maybe to grab a second device, jump over to wearenewlife.org and click on the button that says Online Family Content. Get that ready. Then after worship and during the message, all you have to do is click a button for age-appropriate material that'll be like an online service for your kids.
Take a deep breath. It's time to worship together. So go ahead and set your distractions aside, and let's worship together today.
On the clouds, kings and kingdoms will bow down, and every chain will break as broken hearts declare his praise. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. Every knee slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains. Every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before Him. So open up the gates, make way before the King of Kings. Our God who comes to save is here to set the captives free. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before Him.
Our God is the Lamb
that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before Him. Knee will bow. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? 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 No one. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord Almighty? Who can stop the Lord? Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. Every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sins of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Every knee will bow before Him. Every knee will bow, tongue will confess.
You were the Word at the beginning, one with God the Lord Most High. Your hidden glory in creation, now revealed in you are Christ. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a beautiful name it is, nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus. You didn't want heaven without us, so Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. What could separate us now? What a wonderful name it is. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a wonderful name it is. Nothing compares to this.
is a beautiful and a powerful name. There is no name like the name of Jesus. And if you're wondering, like, hey, I was just starting to really get involved in the worship, don't worry. We're going to have a chance to worship some more together before we're done today.
John,
Yep.
what happened over there?
So downside of going live, my mom called, and she shut it down hard.
I was digging it. I felt like I was less alone in this season of quarantine, but hey, it's okay. It's okay. Hey, if you want to participate in generosity this morning, we have 3 ways for you to do that. The first one is to text New Life to 77977, online at newlifeeverett.org, or through our New Life app.
And while you're over there at newlifeeverett.org, if there's any way in this season that we can be engaged in praying for you, we want to do that. We have a team of people that really loves to care for you that way. There's a link that just says prayer. If you click on that and give us as much information as you want to share with us, we'd really count it a privilege to pray with you. Secondly, if you're a first responder or you're a medical person in the front lines of dealing with this COVID stuff, we want to be praying for you by name. And if you would be willing to go over there as well, newlifeeverett.org, hit that prayer link. Let us know whether you're a a first responder or frontline medical personnel. Leave us your name. We want to be praying for you by name daily.
New Life, we want to be in community with you.
Yep.
And we want you to be in community with each other. So if that's something that you're craving, something that you haven't taken advantage of yet, go to newlifeeverett.org, fill out a connect form, and we would love to get in touch with you.
Yeah. And hey, guys, this is the part of our online service where we get to connect and say hi to one another. So there are probably some people that are online with you, either at Facebook or YouTube. If you've seen them join in or you've seen them in the comment section, this is your chance to say hi. There's some people that I want to say hi to today. Shout out to Megan Worth. Megan is a New Life nurse who's also a Navy reservist who is deployed to New York to help fight the crisis there. Megan, we love you. And though you are far from us in terms of distance, you are very near in our hearts, and we are praying for you on the regular.
Talk about a weird season to work for a school district. I know we have a lot of people who are teachers and work for schools that go to New Life here. I want to give a shout out to one because I saw him in the comments, Jesse Anderson. What's up, man? How are you doing? I cannot wait to see you again.
Online music classes must be awesome. Lynette Ernst, I see you're there on Facebook. Want to say hey, thanks for being with us today.
Mandy Lutz, say hi to Ethan for me. I miss that guy. He always dances while I'm speaking to middle schoolers. Like he'll stand up front row and start dancing. So I'd miss that in my life.
Okay, truth talk. When this camera goes dark and Pastor Jim starts to teach, I tend to dance as well, just not on Sunday mornings when we're all together. Sharon Cohen, want to say hi? Love you. Glad you're here with us today.
I tend to ignore him, and I'm very grateful for this wall that's between us because ain't nobody want to be seeing that, specifically me. Monica Erickson, hi, you and Glenn. It's good to see you guys this morning.
Yeah, if you thought the wig was rough, the dancing is even worse. Sergio Molina, hey, love to you and the family. Glad to see you on Facebook today.
Lynn Hall, I want you to look out your window and appreciate the view for me. Hello, Halls, how are you doing?
Hey, Ethel McNeil, I see you. Hi, I miss my hugs. Want to see you soon. Pam Coblin, see you're on with us. Good to see you. Ryan Newby and Greg and Rachel White, miss all you guys.
Munoz family, all of you, okay? I love all of you the same, okay? I can't choose, so hello to all of you. The Huffmans, hello. I don't know what time it is for you, but it is good to see you.
Parents, if you're getting ready to start some online content for your kids, this is the best time to do that. We're getting ready to go to Pastor Jim. So remember, Nope, that's not it. How about newlifeeverett.org?
There it is.
Going to get this. This is live, John. Did you know that?
I did.
It's totally live. newlifeeverett.org, online family content. Hit play, and they'll have something while Pastor Jim is with us. And church, today, Pastor Jim is interviewing licensed therapist and trusted pastor Kathy Meyer. They're having a really honest and incredibly helpful conversation about how we negotiate these challenging times as disciples and just as people. It's a new reality for all of us, and they're going to help equip us as we move forward. So here you go.
Okay. Kathy Meyer, I am so excited to be having this conversation with you. You're a dear friend. You're loved here at New Life and such a qualified voice in the midst of this quarantine chaos that we seem to find ourselves in. And so, hey, if you're watching, a little heads up of what we're going to do. Just as your pastor, what I want to do is I want to have some real talk about where we're really living right now. And so I want this Sunday to feel more like the conversation that happens out in the courtyard when I'm done preaching than what happens in the worship center when I am. I want you to be active in the comments. I want you to feel free to share questions. I want us to just drop the waterline, get real, because we know that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We're just not made to live indoors this much. So, but we're just going to tackle some of these things head on. I'm going to fire questions at Kathy, and if I feel like she's wiggling out of the question, I'm going to ask her again, because, well, that's not the kind of person she is. She is going to shoot straight with you and be honest with you, and at any time, this could go from talking about real problems to spiritual strategic solutions. So you might want to have a piece of paper nearby because your computer's kind of busy, and just comment with us. Lean in. We're going to share some resources at the end, but let's just let this be a real conversation of hope and peace. But let's let it go to where we're really living, not where we're numbing or hoping to soon be. Let's just talk about where God can really meet us where we're really at. So can we do that? Would you please welcome with me our friend, Kathy Meyer. Can you hear him, Kathy?
Yes, I'm here.
They're cheering for her. There she is. And maybe you can do the clapping thing in the comments. Kathy, let's get real. We could talk about a lot of things about just where people talk to you hours a day and where you give people godly counsel. But we want to speak directly to this COVID crisis. What are some of the common things that you're seeing that people are dealing with all of the change? Speak to that for a moment, because here's why. We don't want to feel like we're the only ones. So help us drop the shame that we might be feeling if we're struggling a little bit. And just tell us we're not alone. What are some of the things that you're hearing and seeing, and maybe why? Would you just speak to that?
I sure can. I guess the first thing I want to say is I've seen a gradual progression and change even over this 3-week period and the things that people are struggling with. How people are coping this third week, and the issues that are coming up are a little bit different than maybe the first week as we were adjusting. I sat down a few weeks ago, and in just a 5-minute period, I wrote down all of the changes that I'm hearing people go through. And this is not an exhaustive list. And before I share it, I want to just help us to understand that our systems experience change, Jim, like we experience loss. And with every change, there are minute little adjustments that systemically we have to make to adjust to the change. And when we are experiencing a lot of change all at once, that's taking a lot of energy and internal resources. And we have a clinical term we call it the allostatic load. When the stressors put upon our system are more than what our resilience can manage, we start getting symptoms. These things start spilling out. And so let me just name, just in 5 minutes, a few of the things that people are kind of going through. The first one is a loss of control. You know, if anybody has had a time in their life where they felt a loss of control or control ripped from them, they're going to get very triggered. A loss of freedom. We have people telling us whether we can work or not, where we can go, the people that we can spend time with. And that's triggering to a lot of people, just loss of connection with loved ones. And sure, we have the virtual connections, but if you're over the age of 50, that may not feel as comfortable as it would to a 20-year-old who maybe, most of their connections are virtual, right? There's the loss of peace as now kids are home. We love our kids, but they're messy hooligans sometimes. And so we had a rhythm and a structure. I had a single parent send me a Marco Polo, and she just screamed into it. She has 4 kids and she's single, and she got sent home bags of homework from the Christian school for each kid. And she just screamed, I am not a homeschool parent. And just the adjustments that makes, just the adjustments of having this husband that you love now with all of his work material and his computer at the kitchen table, right? The loss of community resources. People are looking kind of ragged, haircuts, gym, massage therapist. I can't go to the mall. And these might seem superficial, but they're little stressors. The loss of romance if you're single, if you're married and you're used to date nights, how do we get creative? And first of all, how do we find any time alone? I can't even tell you how many sessions I've had with people in their cars, because that's the only place where they can get privacy and quiet. Just the loss of perceived safety. Now, as we go into the grocery store and we look at people, are you carrying the virus? And could you be unsafe for me? The loss of physical touch and affection. If you live alone, when's the last time you've had a hug? Loss of job and coworkers. We're still, if you have the privilege of still working, you've lost the minute interactions that happen throughout the day, just little taps, just facial expressions, loss of income, and maybe you have the privilege of working, but your income has decreased, or maybe you're furloughed and you've lost significant, financial resources. And even those who are working are experiencing anxiety, Jim, because I don't know where this is going to go. And I have a job now, but am I going to have a job 2 months from now, 3 months from now? And I've heard a lot of people say, I'm even afraid of tithing, because how do I know if my adult kids are going to need my resources? The loss of financial independence. There are teenagers, young adults who were away at college or who had already established financial independence that are having to move home now because they've lost their jobs and they can't afford rent. The loss of routine, the loss of community. We're not gathering in church. And I work with a lot of people that are in recovery, that their recovery programs haven't gone virtual yet, or how do I connect with my 12-step, meeting or my meetup group? Loss of structure, people staying in their pajamas and, every day seems the same. It's like Groundhog Day. The loss of health, if you've suffered the virus, and then the capriciousness of why do some people, end up on respirators, and why do some people get corona and not even have symptoms? Maybe you're here and you've lost a loved one permanently to the virus, and maybe it's just the loss of trust in mankind and government and God, and so many other losses that I haven't even named. And it's the accumulation of that, and no wonder we're yelling at our spouses and kicking the dog and experiencing a rise of symptoms of anxiety and anger and depression. Yeah, and fear.
So that's a huge list, and you may in the comments be adding a few more to that list of things that you feel like you've lost. But hear Kathy say, when we experience change, a cumulative amount of change in a short amount of time, each one of those things feels like loss. Am I hearing you right?
Yes.
And we tend to grieve what we've lost.
Even if you feel like you're doing fine, and I'll tell you right now, introverts are adjusting much better than extroverts. Introverts are people
That
who
is for
charge.
sure.
with alone time, but what if you're somebody who, in order to recharge, you need the interaction of other people? That is really hard. And so we're not just affected by how the COVID-19 crisis is landing with us, but the people important to us. Aren't we affected by that, you know?
Right. No, I think that really speaks to a lot of us. So I want you to speak to some specific groups of people that would be watching and going, my situation, I know it's not unique, but if you could speak to a few demographics of people. The first one is those who are watching alone right now, that maybe they feel not overrun by a cramped quarters, but they really feel isolated. Speak to that situation and maybe even some hope into their situation, those in isolation.
Yeah. I mean, Jim, it just depends on some people who live in isolation actually do better with alone time than we realize. But everybody who lives in isolation has needs for some kind of contact. And that has been, that's not available anymore. Like, I mean, I live alone and I miss my grandson, you know, so much. And we have to find ways to keep our hearts, our spirits, and our minds engaged. And what I'm seeing a lot going on is numbing behavior. And now I'm not trying to get down on people who binge watch Netflix or Hulu. I can go to town on a Netflix series like nobody's business, right?
That's right.
But, you know, Jim, the sales of alcohol have gone on up 55% the last 2 weeks in March. And the statistics for April are showing even higher than that. And so a lot of people are trying to deal with the stress and the loneliness and the isolation and the boredom by, numbing out. And the people who are adjusting the best are the people who are actually engaging with life. And I'll talk about that in a bit. But I think we have to be purposeful if we live alone. Or even if you're in a marriage where you feel alone, that can feel even worse, Jim, than living alone. To be living with someone.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
Let's speak to moms that had their life somewhat under control, and now they've lost control of their environment. They've lost. Now they've become a homeschool parent. Maybe now they've become their husband's works come into that onto the kitchen table, as you said. Could you just speak to moms for a second?
Yeah. You know, we're all wired differently, and we're not supposed to be good at everything. But what I'm hearing from a lot of moms is, they love their kids, but now, Jim, they're worrying about, oh my gosh, how is the schools being closed for the rest of the year going to affect my kids academically? And a lot of insecurity is being triggered because moms are worrying about, am I doing a good enough job homeschooling? Mm-hmm. And then if the husband's at work, she may take on the responsibility of having to keep these little active beings quiet. And I want to encourage people to just go lighter on yourselves, especially if you have latency age elementary school kids. The most important thing is keeping their love for learning engaged. They're not going to be permanently scarred because they didn't finish Washington State history. They will catch up if you can just, be creative. And maybe that means, finding out a rhythm that works best for your family, because parents who put too much stress feel like they have to get these kids to comply with the lesson plans that are being, and then they feel like a failure, and that just adds just another stressor on top of everything else. And so things like watching a Mythbuster show and then trying a little science experiment in the kitchen, or playing a math game, or watching an educational program and writing, those things just can keep our kids love for learning engaged. And that's really the most important thing. Yeah.
So
And then
moms, I
even,
hope you heard her say, go ahead, Kathy.
even for husbands, I had a couple recently where, so he's working from home now, and he had his computer at the kitchen table, and in his business meetings, he's got his kids running through the meetings, and we just have to adjust our expectation. And I love, as you watch, Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Kimmel that are doing their shows from home, and you see their kids wrestling them. You see their wife, who's their cameraman, have to put it down and have a parenting moment. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's adjust our expectations. And a lot of
So good.
families have had to learn trial by error that maybe doing work at the kitchen table isn't going to work because, kids make noise and they're busy. And so I have a lot of men that their office is now the kid's bedroom or the garage, or we just have to be flexible.
Yeah. Well, what I hear you saying, Kathy, is just this so good is moms, give yourself a break.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be perfect at everything immediately. You weren't prepared for this, but there's a grace for it. And find fun ways to be an awesome mom, but don't feel like you have to become everything immediately, or your children are somehow going to suffer academically or emotionally. They're not going to remember what you taught them. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And
absolutely. And then the other stress on moms is that, their kids aren't able to get out with playmates. They're kind of isolated, and that's been a stressor on moms. And the other stressor, Jim, is for expecting moms. I mean, I'm hearing about baby showers getting canceled, weddings getting postponed, big events having that you would go through normally in community that you're going through alone now. And that's hard. And if you're going through that, I just kind of want to normalize it, because sometimes we get the impression as Christians that we're not supposed to have feelings. But what I want to remind people is that feelings like anger and fear, even depression and anxiety, they're not contrary to faith. Jim, they exist side by side. Faith, you can be a person of faith and be experiencing some fear, and be experiencing some anger, and be experiencing some doubt. They're not mutually exclusive.
No.
And what I want to remind people is that we might be uncomfortable with mess, but Jim, I don't think God is uncomfortable with mess at all. And one of the passages that the Lord has just brought to my mind is the passage where Jacob is wrestling with God, and we can identify it. I mean, Jacob is a man with a very, dare I say, imperfect character and imperfect faith, and he's experiencing some injustices. And I know some people today are, through the crisis, they feel some injustice. Why does this person, Lord, get to work and continue an income, and my job no longer exists because somebody has determined it non-essential? And that can really speak, people are struggling with that term even.
Yeah,
and
let's talk about that term essential for a second. We've chatted a little bit about this. Speak to the reality that when someone feels, if you label me, you negate me, Kierkegaard said. Some people might feel labeled by the fact that their function at work was not essential. So even though the priority was their safety and their health, they could take that label and internally personalize that. Speak to that for a moment.
Well, I mean, I think you just kind of put the nail on the head, is that, we have to really pay attention to the stories we tell ourselves about the adversities that we're facing, Jim, because it's not necessarily the adversities that are affecting us the most, but how we're meeting those adversities. And sometimes the way we talk to ourselves is just not really kind. And so it's important for us to pay attention and connect not just with the feelings, but what am I telling myself about the experience I'm having? And I think what the Lord wants us to do is just invite him into those places. And if we don't accept the presence of some of the struggle, we might be tempted to, to minimize or suppress feelings. And all that does is give them more power over us.
Okay. But can I just say something as a guy for a second? Because I so appreciate this about women. They tend to, maybe to a fault, be too aware of the story they're telling themselves. And guys are like, we're telling ourselves something? When are we doing that? Well, turns out we too are telling ourselves a story. We just think it's a silent movie, that nobody else hears it and that we don't hear it. How do we lean in and go, okay, Kathy, talk to me about it. How do I become aware of that piece? Because we hear our wives or we hear our daughters say, oh, I always tell myself, and guys contend, really? I don't know if I've talked to myself for help us walk through that a little bit to become maybe a little more self-aware as husbands, as fathers, as men. I'm listening.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the two things to look for, if we're not engaging and acknowledging our emotions, they're going to come out in crooked ways. And so pay attention to how your stomach feels. Pay attention to whether or not your back and neck are feeling tight. Pay attention to how you're sleeping. So, if we're not processing through the emotions and thoughts, pay attention to your body because you're going to store them there.
Okay.
The other thing to look for is behavioral. Okay, if we're not engaging with what we're going through, we're much more likely to express the emotions behaviorally. Like notice things like, are things irritating you that normally wouldn't irritate you? Are you responding to things in a way that's inconsistent with your faith, your character, your heart, right?
Maybe.
Are you, indulging in things that you normally wouldn't indulge in? Pay attention to the behavioral kind of markers and get curious about that, because those are indications I'm having big feelings.
Well, I confess to you that I was perfectly by myself, and I was processing a frustration I had with myself and a disappointment, and a perfectly good pair of reading glasses found themselves spontaneously hurled against a concrete wall, and they are unusable now. And that is unusual for me. They weren't hurled at anyone except for a story that I was telling myself that I wasn't even aware of. Yeah. And so I guess I just want to speak to men for a second. Before you chuck something, check something. Look in your heart and go, where is that coming from? Because what she's saying is, man, is reading my mail. If I don't become aware of what I need, all I'm going to appear to my loved ones, my friends and my family that can get near me, is they're just going to experience my isolation because somehow I am just frustrated with myself. But that's not what they feel. And so I'm trying to hear Kathy. And guys, I just want to challenge you, before you chuck something, check your heart. What are you actually needing? And then let's together, okay, I'll start with me. Let's figure out how can we ask for what we need. Kathy, what I hear you saying is pay attention to even to your body, to your story. Guys, that might be a tough request, but I think it's wisdom. And if we could just stop and even give our kids the love and respect they deserve, give our spouses, give our coworkers, give our Zoom participants the love and respect they deserve, and ask for what we need. But what are you needing? And then how can people be present where you're in that need, rather than just getting frustrated at what you want to be different?
Can I get even more personal?
With me, no, but with everybody else, yeah, that's fine.
With everybody else. Okay, so
Okay.
it is normal. What I'm seeing in my clinical office is what we call some decompensation. So whatever you struggled with before this crisis hit, the temperature is going to be turned up. So if you have a history of pornography addiction, if you have a history of substance abuse, if you have a history of emotional eating, if you have a history of any kind of compulsive behavior, you know, expect that as the temperature gets turned up, the triggers for that is going to go up. And Jim, if I could say anything, I want to encourage people to compassionately engage with that. Because oftentimes as the shame gets turned up, shame just tempts us to go into hiding, and it metastasizes in hiding. So what Jim is saying is really important. We need to have forums where we can talk frankly about the real things we're struggling with and not be judged, and be supported and be given some hope and encouragement and the resources to get back on track.
Yeah.
And to recognize this is just a season we're going through. We are going to rebound.
Right.
Yeah.
Kathy, we're encouraging people within the New Life family that you're a wonderful part of to ask three questions. Where are you grateful? What's your biggest challenge right now? And what's your greatest opportunity?
Yeah.
Are those, from your perspective, how are those helpful questions? And can we create some support, even in the comments, people seeing each other? If we ask each other those three questions, could those be helpful?
Those are brilliant questions. And so Jim, the goal can't be, I've got to stop having these feelings and having these thoughts, because from a clinical perspective, we really don't have as much control as we think we do over the thoughts that hit us or the feelings that flood us. But the goal has to be, how can I be more aware of when I'm in a shame storm, of when I'm having an emotion, and we can learn to limit its airtime. And so one of the things that God created our brains with the incredible ability is to shift focus at will. And so by anchoring ourselves every day in what we're grateful for, that can help tame some of the emotional storms, because our brain, I'll tell you, things are never as bad as we think they are, you know, and we can catastrophize like nobody's business. And so anchoring yourself in even small things that you're grateful for, it's like taking, sometimes we get like a zoom lens and we're focusing on the worst aspects of what we're going through. And so gratitude can pull and give more of a landscape view of the lens and show us what else is going around.
Right.
You know, so it kind of puts the struggle a little bit more in perspective. And then we can engage with what are the challenges. And we want to offer ourselves a compassionate awareness of, wow, there are some things I'm going through that are super hard right now. But I put a boundary around it's the things that we're going to perseverate on and loop and camp on that are the problem. So I don't focus on a problem, Jim, any more than 20 minutes, because quite frankly, our problem-solving capacity and our creativity goes down after about 20 minutes. So I'll give myself permission to engage with challenges, but I'll put a boundary on it. And then, refocus on, more of a spiritual perspective, and God, how can I hear and engage with you through this? Because Jim, there are some really good things that are coming out of this season that are really exciting for some people.
Yeah. So I find that if we go from talking about that question, where's your greatest challenge? And we don't live there for too long, and we certainly don't end there, but we move towards a place of opportunity. Where's the Holy Spirit inviting us to join him? That if we can get from that place, oftentimes we find that embedded in the soil of our greatest challenge is also our greatest opportunity. and sometimes they're even connected, sometimes they're disconnected. But just to the New Life family, if you would engage those 3 questions with friends and family, with your kids, with your parents, with your friends, watch that converse. If you know what someone's greatest opportunity is, that's going to engage, Kathy, am I right? That's going to engage a part of their brain that's going to move them out of a place of being numb to a place of engaging what's possible and being more creative and function at a higher level.
Right.
Personally?
And yes, absolutely. And for those of you who are sitting here thinking, okay, I'm admitting that I have been doing a lot of numbing. I'm staying in my pajamas and, ways that we can purposefully engage, because what I want to say, Jim, is that we can actually build resilience. There are really specific things we can do to increase the size of our emotional capacity. One of the things I'm doing right now is I'm taking an online course from Yale University that is free called The Science of Wellbeing. And I love it. I have clients who are learning Spanish. There is so much free online stuff now. People learning guitar, find ways to engage in things that you're passionate about. Or if you are sitting there and you're like, Kathy, I don't even know what I like. Well, run some mini experiments and just try a few new things that are available and just notice if you like them, right?
Yeah,
and
that's fantastic.
That's one of the
learning how to
things.
preach to cameras. That's what I'm learning how to do.
Absolutely.
I want to see people. We're learning great things, some of them because we have to, and some of them, I think it's a great point. There are so many online resources. Jump on, take some courses, stretch just take this opportunity if you've got some spare time. Learn some new things that can change your life during this season.
As Pastor Jim and Kathy have been sharing, we hope it's been helpful, and we hope it's been really encouraging. But we also know that they may have highlighted some areas of challenge that we're experiencing. So we're going to spend a few moments in worship together. And as we draw near to Jesus in worship, let's allow the presence of God to both strengthen and to encourage us.
This is an opportunity to lift our eyes off of our challenge and focus on our Savior.
Yeah.
Let's worship together.
There's nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen the sweetest of love, when my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become
more aware of your presence.
Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcomed here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what
Our hearts long for.
to be overcome by your presence, Lord.
Here, as we wait, seek your face. Come and make your throne upon our praise. Here, in this place, have your way. The moment that we see you, we are changed. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. In wonder and surrender, we fall down. Yeah. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. Let every burning heart be holy ground. Jesus, you change everything. Chains fall, fear bow here now. Jesus, you change everything. Lives healed, hope found here now. Jesus, you change everything. Oh, you change everything. Oh, chains fall, fear bow here now. Jesus, you change everything. Lives healed, hope found here now. Jesus, you change everything. You change everything. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. In wonder and surrender we fall down. Yeah. Show us your glory. Show us your glory. And every burning heart be holy ground. Yeah.
Jesus, you are the author and perfecter of our faith. He changes everything.
Yeah.
If you know somebody who needs this encouragement, who needs to see change, would you share today's encouragement with them?
Yeah, we hope that this has been as helpful for you as it has been for us, that it's been an encouragement. Pastor Jim and Kathy are going to continue this conversation next week as well. And a few moments ago, Pastor Jim talked about 3 questions that help us as we kind of negotiate seasons like this. For what are you grateful? What is the struggle you're facing, or where are you facing challenge? And where do you sense opportunity? If you would be encouraged to connect around those 3 questions with another 2 or 3 people, I want to encourage you in 2 ways. One, just grab some folks that are already in your life who are important to you. And once a week, give them a call, use Marco Polo, Zoom together, and ask those questions. Or if you would like us to help you make that kind of a connection, go to newlifeeverett.org/check-in and let us know that you want to join a check-in group. If you're starting a check-in group, go to that same spot, newlifeeverett.org/check-in, and there are a couple of video encouragements to help you get started.
Pay attention this week, because you're going to get some updates about the New Life Network. And like always, let us know how we can be praying for you. newlifeeverett.org, there's a prayer form there and a connect form, so fill those out.
And until we see you again, the Lord bless you and keep you.
The Lord make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you.
The Lord turn his face towards you.
And give you peace.
We'll see you soon.